Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Tom Worth Jr. And today we're going to talk about friends and someone very near and dear to our hearts who doesn't really have a lot of the kinds of friends that most of us would want, and is certainly not the kind of friend that anyone would want. Yesterday's video, when we talked about truth and the lack thereof when it pertains to Trump and Elon Musk, I was also mainly talking about organizations, how we need more than ourselves, building up from ourselves to our family to a society. Well, it goes even higher than that to alliances in the world, global partners. It used to be for trade, say the Hanseatic League around the North Sea, back in the, Middle Ages. It could be for, obviously, military alliances. It could be for any number of things. And the fact is that Donald Trump hates NATO. And you could say you don't really know why. Obviously, we do. NATO is a threat to Putin. It's a threat to Russia, at least in Putin's eyes. It's a defensive alliance, always has been. Putin doesn't like that. Putin was a KGB guy, career KGB guy. His purpose in life was undermining NATO and undermining just that whole alliance, especially America. That's why his ties to Trump are so bothersome. But if you think about Trump personally, if you think about, we all have someone in our life. Maybe it's a parent, a friend, a sibling, whatever it is. We all have that person who we just need to reach out to sometimes. When we say, man, I really have this problem. I know that so-and-so is going to know just what to do, or she's going to make me feel better. She's going to say the exact right thing, or he's going to tell me why this is a bad idea. Maybe I need to hear that. That we have that person, or hopefully those people in our lives. Donald Trump is not that person, probably for anyone on the planet, even his own children. They might run to him for approval, but I doubt they're running to him for advice. I doubt they're running to him to make them feel better, or to say, hey, what would Trump do in this situation? Because you know what? That's probably the best thing to do. Nobody has Trump as that person in their life. So that says something about the guy. Conversely, if you do have him as someone who's a quote friend, why are you friends with him? Like, what did he do for you? Because we all know the guy is 100% transactional in everything he does. So if he's picking up some unknown, unproven, unqualified person to be a federal judge, like Eileen Cannon in Florida, obviously that's okay. She's going to be able to help me out very quickly. And she does. That pays off. Supreme Court justices, obviously the same kind of deal. That's not to say they're not qualified. I mean, we can decide if we think they are based on their decisions, but he didn't pick them for qualifications. He picked them. He thought they would be loyal to him. He thought they would help him. Therefore, he appointed them. And these are lifetime appointments, as we all are painfully aware. These are the people who are, in Trump's mind, friends with him, but only because he has helped them out and now they owe him. Not only do they owe him, but they fear him. That's what he surrounds himself with. A person who does not fear Trump is Vladimir Putin. He looks at Trump as someone who can help him accomplish his means, which is to undermine America and democracy. And to do that, you can also undermine NATO. And very early on, NATO was a target of Trump when he was president. He wanted to cut their funding under the guise of what's going to appeal to his base. hey, I want to be friends with Russia now and I want Europe to fall. No, that's not going to appeal to his base. What would? Hey, Trump's a business guy. He's going to save us some money. Those dang Europeans haven't been paying their fair share. Okay, that's what he'll say. And that's what he'll do. And now NATO are our allies for 75 years now. We just had the 75th anniversary of the NATO alliance here this year. I was looking at, you have Tony Blinken. He is a Francophile if there ever was one. And so going back to Biden's early presidency in 2021, well, quickly we had a crisis later in 2021, which in early 22 became a full-scale invasion of Ukraine by Russia. A European country invading another European country. But luckily, Tony Blinken, the Secretary of State of Biden, he grew up in France. He speaks French. He loves the French. He is painfully aware of the importance of NATO to the world, to democracy in the world. He came out and just started going to work on Europe, on France, because we need these people's help. We need to be aligned against Russian invasions. And had Trump been the president, there wouldn't have been... Okay, first of all, Tony Blinken's not the Secretary of State if Trump's president. That's not happening. You're not aligning Europe or Western European democracies behind us. They're I guess they'll help, but not to the extent in the full-throated support, military, arms, money, everything. I mean, they just said, like, yeah, this is NATO. This is what we're doing. Ukraine's not part of NATO, but the purpose of NATO was to contain the threat of the Soviet Union, which obviously Putin's been trying to resurrect. So because we have that alliance, we didn't have to do it all ourselves. And that's why, rather than falling in a week or two, like Ukraine certainly would have with Trump as president, it was in February, I think. It's been 2.5 years that they've held out against Russia. Are you kidding me? Russia can't roll their tanks and their troops and their missiles and their jets and defeat Ukraine, who was defanged as part of their conditions to be able to leave the Soviet Union. It's mind-boggling. But had Trump been president, not only would we have a weak NATO, Ukraine would be gone. Who would be next? I don't know. Poland? I don't know. Take your pick. It's just disturbing what could have happened had Trump won that second presidency. What will happen if he wins the next one? Bad things. You have... there was a conversation I found between, for the Washington conference to commemorate the 75th anniversary of NATO, and it was an interview with Secretary of State Blinken, and he starts right off talking about Dean Acheson, who, when I held up that book the other day, the Wise Men book, just a big old thick book. There's, I want to say, six people in that book who reshaped this current world order coming out of World War II. He was one of those 6 people, so I'm pretty familiar with his story. And this is how these guys thought. This is how Anthony Blinken thinks. We can't do this alone. We need allies. We need friends. We need to be a part of something larger than ourselves. And that is not Donald Trump. Trump is only in it for himself. If you can give him some sort of quid pro quo arrangement, great. He'll help you out, maybe, as long as it's okay with Vladdy. And if it's not okay, then sorry, you're on your own. Either way, he's going to make promises to you. He's going to extract things from you and then leave you high and dry. Just like everyone who has gone to prison on his behalf rather than turn on him. he just leaves them high and dry. He'll promise to pardon you, and he has pardoned some truly awful, terrible, despicable, violent, dangerous people, but he can't pardon all of them. That's the kind of friend you have in Trump. That is what we're trying to avoid. And I just wanted to get that off my chest, thinking about NATO, thinking about France. France has been on my mind, obviously, since the Olympics. Paris, I love Paris. We finally got to go for our 25th wedding anniversary a couple years ago. And it's just better than I could have ever dreamed. And, a history buff, a person who's into culture and art and old churches and all that stuff. Just such a great place. Which reminds me, a good friend, a close friend, a Republican, when the Olympics, they had just started. I think maybe a few days into it, and they had all the uproar about, one of the opening ceremony things where the person was laying on the table and everybody was all up in arms about that. And this guy said, and because of that, and this guy could go anywhere in the world that he wants to, and he's always wanted to go to Paris, and he said, I'm never going to Paris because they did that thing. And I honestly didn't know fully what he was talking about. I had seen some headlines about a guy mocking the Last Supper, which would be, offensive if that's what was happening. From what I read, it's not what was happening. But, if you're the conservatives, the Fox News, the whatever types, and that's what you were told, that's what you're believing. If you read the whole side of the story and the French culture side of the story and the people who put on the opening ceremony, what they're actually going for, you can believe that. That seemed to make sense to me. I don't know. It's Paris. It's awesome. Go if you haven't been. You're not going to see naked painting people lying on tables of fruit and wine all around town. I promise you that. It's just a great place. But it's the kind of place where, it's a light of the world. It's culture. It's civilization. You had so many founding fathers and so many people since then who go there and are just absolutely inspired. And they say, you know what? I think we could learn a thing or two from Paris. And I think that with all of our Western European allies, certainly. And I am very convinced that Trump does not. So that's your daily dose of yet another reason not to vote for Trump and to vote for someone who actually cares about other people, actually realizes we need to have a greater good and we need to all work together towards that. That is Kamala Harris. That is not Donald Trump. That's it, I guess. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.